or whatever, I think I was still probably quite sensitive and a bit fragile, even for a 15-year-old, and I don't know why I was like that, but I would, I mean, being sensitive is good in some ways, but, sensitive to other people, but I suppose life is difficult if you are to feel some things too much, things other people say to you or do to you, sometimes, So I suppose I wish I'd been a bit less fragile and sensitive when I was a teenager. But I suppose a lot of people are, I don't want to be too hard on myself, but, I didn't really have much resilience. I think that's partly because I had a very, nice upbringing, our parents very loving. I didn't really face any external problems. Any issues I had were, I suppose, in my head really, and about me. Yeah.
So for anyone that is listening to this podcast that has either gone through grief or that is going through grief right now, what words or what encouraging words would you say to them?
In terms of people who are grieving?
Yeah, or in terms of people that are going through what you've said about your dad, or, a lack of confidence.
The thing is with grief, I think it seems fairly well established how it works. I mean, obviously it works differently for different people, but I think there's quite an established pattern of stages you go through. And the main thing I say, things, no matter how upsetting it seems at the time, things do get better eventually. It still might be painful, but it does get better over time. And it's supposed to be a bit of a cliche, but it is true. I mean, obviously talking to people helps, whether it's friends or talking to a professional, like a counsellor. There are techniques, psychological techniques for dealing with grief and difficult situations, which, obviously doesn't take the pain away entirely, but it does help. And I did what a couple of people said to me was trying to maintain some sense of normality as much as possible if you're in a situation where someone is dying. I think that sounds like, how would you be able to do that? But it is possible sometimes, and I think that is important to try and do that. And I didn't think it would really work, but it did to a certain extent. Just try to keep doing things that you enjoy doing, or that you like doing, or that you normally do. And it doesn't take it away completely, but I think it does help a little bit.
And so, and also, like, there might be a 15-year-old kid out there listening, thinking, I want to, join a band, or I want to do a particular sport, and I don't feel good at it, or I don't have any confidence. What would the 15-year-old Chris say?
I think I would just say, just keep going, and don't worry too much about failing or being knocked back. And the most important thing is to just keep going and enjoy it, and just keep going, and try, any knockbacks you get, try and learn from it. That's the most important thing. If you're trying to do something and it goes wrong, learn about what went wrong, and then, practice more if that's the issue, or do whatever you're doing more, if it's sport or whatever, and work on what, keep doing what you're good at, but work on the things that you need to work on. I suppose that's in a practical sense, but the most important thing is not to be, certainly not to be knocked back or put down by negativity. And if if you come across any sort of bumps in the road or failure, feeling like you failed in any way, just the important thing is to just keep going. And a lot of the thing to realize is a lot of the feelings you have, particularly, it's maybe a bit different when you're older, but still true to some extent. But when you're a teenager, a lot of the feelings you have pass very quickly. I think things seem like they're the most important thing in the world. But usually, you know, and it'll seem terrible, but quite often a lot of things and feelings will pass pretty quickly, and you'll wonder later why you felt so bad about them. So I think it's important to try and keep some perspective in mind, even though I appreciate it's difficult when you're young, because everything seems like it's the most important thing in the world. But it's usually not, you know. And a lot of things, if you fail at them, you can do them again. You know, like say exams. I mean, children get a lot of pressure over exams, and they are important, you know, and you should work hard and try and pass them. But you can do them again if you fail. It's not the end of the world. There's no reason for people to get in such a terrible state. And I think it's unfortunate that sometimes adults seem to almost encourage that, you know, and get children or teenagers really hyped up about passing exams and what they're going to do in future. But it doesn't really matter, you know. What happens when you're 16 or 18 shouldn't have to determine the rest of your life in terms of your education or your career, and it doesn't really determine it, you know. So I think the important thing is to stay calm and have some perspective, really, and try and develop some perspective. Sorry, I don't know if that's any use to anyone, but
no, I'm sure it is. Well, thank you very much for your podcast. No, I do think, you know, because I do think there is a lot of peer pressure, you know, on kids, and, you know, they have to have a, you know, they have to, you know, hit this certain goal. They have to get A's and B's to be a doctor or a scientist or whatever. And, you know, 9 times out of 10, them qualifications, they don't, you know, they don't really count anymore, especially, you know, in the way that we're going, where, you know, they don't really, I mean, you know, they've got so many applicants to look at. They're not gonna, you know, go through your CV and be like, oh yeah, you need this, you need that. So yeah.
yeah, I mean, I do think exams are important, obviously, and people should work hard, but it's not, you know, it shouldn't be to the extent that their mental health is impacted either.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, I hope that was okay.
Yeah, it was. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.